All right, got a $60 microphone, a $6 haircut, and this green screen I found next to a dumpster. All right, it looks a little shitty. As long as I keep things tight, it should be okay. Got Hi, my name is Ben. Welcome to Hammered Historians on this day in history. Today we're taking a look at May 20th. May 20th, 2019. Watch out, the metric system. There's a new kilogram on the block. The original kilogram prototype is rendered obsolete, which I thought had meant they were going to do a whole other metric system. But how can you mess with perfection? Turns out the original kilogram, the one they'd use for the baseline for all other measurements, was shrinking and getting lighter. And they figured having to do backwards math on every single thing they'd ever measured would be a little tricky. So now they're just writing down how much a kilogram weighs instead. Now I know it sounds weird that I, as an American, am rooting for the metric system. But what you gotta understand is that I, as an American, am lazy as f***. Oh, I just gotta move a zero? I don't have to memorize a conversion chart that looks like the map for Maze Runner? Yeah, sign me up for that one. Let's say I drink 1,000 milliliters of beer. How much is that? Just move the zero. It's a liter. I drank a liter of beer. Now I know. What if I wanted to know how much that liter of beer weighs? Oh, it's just a kilogram. Because it's the same. How does everyone not just want to use this all the time? In second grade in the States, we spent like all afternoon one day making a gallon man to learn how imperial fluid measurements worked. What the fuck is this? No one wants this. He doesn't want to be here. Just an accursed homunculus born into being due to our hubris. Again, let's look at the flowchart again. This is how you use imperial. It's ridiculous. How does metric work? It's a line. It's a fucking line. Counterpoint. Imperial is good if you ever need to measure a third of something. None of that 0.33 repeating bullshit. Like if you just needed to measure a third of something, like I don't know, say a third of the way to the moon. And then measure the rest of the way to the moon. Which we did several times. Booyah! USA, back to skip that one, back to back moon champions. So, you know, it's good for that. May 20th, 1969. The conclusion of Hamburger Hill. Look, the Vietnam War was dumb, and it happened for dumb reasons, and a lot of people died for those dumb reasons. And one of those dumb things was Hamburger Hill. Backstory. The USA has been in Vietnam since 1965. Well, technically we'd sort of been there since like the 50s. But 1965 is when we send in the combat troops and just start throwing down. Really just cranking that freedom dial up to an 11. And it hasn't been going well. For like a lot of reasons. One of which is the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And the US forces want to put a stop to it. That area is now called the Ho Chi Minh Highway, so you could probably guess how well that went for him. So back then there was North Vietnam with the communists and South Vietnam with the freedom. And we later learn also a bunch of communists. And right in the middle we have the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone, which, similar to the one we've got in Korea, is surprisingly militarized despite its name. So the DMZ is meant to be like a magic wall that keeps the invaders out. But they're just walking around the damn thing. On that Ho Chi Minh Trail I just mentioned. They're heading around through Laos and Cambodia. And the US, well, we're not allowed to go there or do anything about it. We totally did though, but like, shh, that's supposed to be a secret. So I'll bring on Operation Apache Snow, which had the intention of shutting down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So just south of the DMZ, we set up shop in, now bear with me here, the A Saw Valley, right along the border with Laos. Not in Laos. We're not in Laos. It's different. The entire area is just intensely dense jungle. It's a pain in the ass to get into. It's a pain in the ass to get out of. But the US heard there was communists there, which kind of just encapsulates the whole Vietnam War, really. So the US and the South Vietnamese troops they're working with, they get there on May 10th. They start looking around, checking things out. They find some information about the enemy North Vietnamese troops, the PAVN. The People's Army of Vietnam 29th Regiment are in the area. Now these dudes, they know what they're doing. So the US Army, knowing that they're there, starts doing reconnaissance in force, which is a very clever way of saying they do recon by shooting their guns at the enemy and then waiting to see how many people shoot back. Genius. The US forces eventually discover some enemy troops and oh look, they're heading up that hill over there. Let me check this map real quick and oh, there's a hill 937. This is Hamburger Hill. It didn't even have a name on their map. It was just named that because it was 937 meters tall. Locally, it was known as, and bear with me here, Dong Apia, or the Mountain of the Crouching Beast. In the literary world, that is what's known as foreshadowing. So in the military, going somewhere where you don't have good intel is considered a bad time. Attacking instead of defending is considered a bad time. Attacking a fortified position is a bad time, and attacking an elevated position is also a bad time. This was all of those things. They are in for a very bad time. Now, the issue with Hamburger Hill, besides all those other things, is the topography. It's not a big open space around Hill 937. It's a bunch of impenetrable vegetation, and then these tiny little hills and valleys that create bottlenecks for approaching troops. You guys remember the hot gates from 300? This entire place is hot gates. Plus, the recon by force has shown that there's a lot of force up there. And it's pissed. Usually when clashing with the North Vietnamese troops, what would happen is they'd shoot for a while, and then they'd run away. So that's what the US Army's expecting them to do. They're not doing that. It kind of just seems like they like it up there. That's okay. The US has a plan for that too. The military-industrial complex. They start calling in artillery, helicopter salvos, airstrikes. It doesn't work. Turns out this hill has been fortified to shit. Over the course of the next 6 days of fighting and bombing runs, a massive amount of the vegetation on Hill 937 is stripped away, and they discover that Hill 937 is basically just bunkers on bunkers. Like really well-built ones. The bombs aren't doing anything to them. It's all just taxpayer-sponsored deforestation at this point. Also about as much friendly fire as you'd expect, because the entire thing's kind of just a walking tour of the inside of a clusterfuck at this point. Speaking to a sergeant, 19-year-old Sergeant James Spears, not that one, said, "Have you ever been inside a hamburger machine?" He said the name of the movie. We're just getting cut to pieces by extremely accurate machine gun fire. Hey, that's how the hill got its name. It's also important to note nearby hills 900 and 913. All this exact same shit's going on over there too. The hills are alive with the sound of several thousand pissed off Vietnamese people. On May 20th, that's today, the US finally takes the hill with 72 dead and about 372 wounded on their side. And about 1,500 dead and an unknown number of wounded on the other side. Congratulations. About 2 weeks later, they realize this hill, is in the middle of nowhere, and has zero strategic importance. So they just up and leave. Just a bunch of dead teenagers in the middle of a random patch of jungle and nothing to show for it. Which kind of just encapsulates the whole Vietnam War, really. Yeah, that looks sturdy. Hey, you guys having a fun time so far? Learning something? Why not subscribe? May 20th, 1964. Two dudes with an oversized ear horn, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson discover the cosmic microwave background, or CMB. You can't see it with a regular telescope, you gotta use a radio one. Gotta see with your ears, like a bat. Or a Batman. Alright, I know this bit's been done to death, but seriously, how is the echolocation lawyer not the one called Batman? And the trust fund base jumping adrenaline junkie not called Daredevil? He even has horns. Sorry, sound of the universe. That's the sound it makes. Now I know this feels like that bullshit that one guy we all know believes in. The one that will sell you weed, but first he's gonna talk at you about his crystals for 20 minutes. But it's real. The CMB is believed to be leftover residue, or space goo, if you will, from the Big Bang. The origin of the universe. The Ohm sound was first theorized by scientists in the early 20th century when they were getting all their Big Bang ideas together. Interestingly, the Ohm the concept of the sound of the universe, also shows up in the ancient Indian Vedas religious texts as early as 1500 BC. Beat those scientists by a Scottish kilometer. So, checkmate, science. Can your science god explain that? So, the Bikini Atoll is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's a series of 23 islands, 3 of which no longer exist for reasons that will become clear soon. May 20th, 1956. US Operation Red Wing is a series of 17 nuclear tests carried out on the Bikini Atoll. And each one is named after a different Indian tribe we stole land from. Turns out the US military just likes doing that. Both the stealing land and the naming thing. Anyway, May 20th, 1956. That's when we dropped the bomb codenamed Cherokee. It was delivered by the B-52 bomber, Barbara Grace. Turns out Major Critchlow, the mission commander, his wife's name was Barbara, and his mother's name was Grace. So he named the B-52 the Barbara Grace in their honor. Which, sounds pretty Enola Gay, if you know what I mean. All 17 tests were basically just demolition ranches. What if I shoot X with Y? Or the later seasons of Mythbusters, if you don't spend way too much time watching people shoot guns on the internet. What if we nuke the ground? What if we nuke the air? What if we nuke underground? What if we nuke underwater? What if we nuke some boats? This one, Project Cherokee was, what if we thermonuke something? And we chucked it out of a plane first. Now, going from nuclear to thermonuclear is like a real big step there. Like we're hitting the megaton range. For reference, the drum we bopped on Hiroshima. For reference, Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. That was a sun. We dropped the sun on them. We made the Japanese flag into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, Cherokee from Project Red Wing was 3 megatons, which, referring back to our scale of 1 Hiroshima is 1 sun, this is 200 suns. Jesus, I guess Americans really will use anything but the metric system. So altogether, Project Cherokee is the world's first air-delivered thermonuclear warhead. Which honestly wasn't really a scientific test so much as it was America saying, look what we can do. Try us. It was really strong. That's fine. Kind of a running theme for these tests was that they kept being, way bigger and way more radioactive than we were expecting. In one instance, accidentally blasting a Japanese fishing vessel 94 miles away. So, we accidentally nuked the Japanese. Again. The cool thing about Cherokee, it actually painted this big old target on one of the islands for the airplane to drop the bomb onto. And they missed it by 4 miles. Another cool thing is they had a bunch of scientific instruments set up looking at the target. And a bunch of troops stationed there, specifically ordered to face away and not look at the target. The bomb landed in front of the troops. Ah, damn. Nothing on the spectroscope. What did you see, Private? A blinding fury of 1,000 suns. 1,000? That's 800 more than we were expecting. Tops! Who's talking? To the US's credit, they had all the locals move before they started the tests. Which is pretty progressive for the 1950s. They didn't move them anywhere good. The locals were evacuated in 1976 and then allowed to return in 1972 after it was determined it was now safe. For about 6 years, until scientists did a double check and realized, oh whoa, no, this place is actually still super radioactive. We were way off, this place is not safe at all. You guys' cesium levels are like 11 times higher than what they should be. You need to get the fuck out of here. You know what else lived on the Bikini Atoll pre-nuclear tests? Coconut crabs. This is them without the radiation. Jesus Christ. After seeing what happened with Godzilla, we really dodged a bullet here. It's got twice as many arms and it's armored. Goddamn Sebastian the Kaiju over here. If this thing was a Pacific Rim 1, humanity would have not survived for the character assassination of Dr. Newton Geisler in Pacific Rim 2. Alright, we're gonna go a little out of order here. May 20th, 1927. Charles Lindbergh accomplishes the world's first solo transatlantic flight, flying from Paris to New York in 33.5 hours. He probably had to pee in a bottle a couple times, but that's just what heroes do. He successfully created a new era of air travel by showing people that, hey, you probably won't die. We are, of course, ignoring all of the people that did in fact die. Also ignoring all the people that had been successfully completing transatlantic flights since 1919. But they were in groups, and this was just one guy, so easier to merchandise, I guess? Well, I guess if we're thinking about it, Apollo 11, first flight to the moon, had 3 people. And everyone forgets about that third guy. Sorry, Mike. And then we went back 6 more times. And no one gives a fuck about any of those dudes. But like, if there was a new moon mission, and it was just one guy, flew all the way there, landed on his own, then flew all the way back, we'd know who that guy was. We would all know who that guy was. He'd be Time Magazine Man of the Year. Probably have a lot of sex. All right, I got distracted. So, speaking of Time Magazine, Charles Lindbergh was also named Time's Man of the Year. In fact, he was the first Times Man of the Year ever made. They may have just invented that just for him. Which, while impressive, I do feel like I have to remind people that being Times Man of the Year isn't always a good thing. Speaking of, here's something you never want to see in an article section for someone on Wikipedia. To Charles Lindbergh's credit, it doesn't seem like his views on black people and the Jews were like too outside the wheelhouse for just like the cultural average of the time. And he did do what a lot of eugenics fans did back in the day, which was be really into it, then find out what the Germans were doing, and then go, oh shit, oh fuck, oh god, no, fuck, I'm out. Also, speaking of Charles Lindbergh in Germany, turns out he had multiple secret families there, which may explain why he happened to be so pro-German during the start of World War II. He did come around later though. Now, zipping back, May 20th, 1932, Amelia Earhart makes her first transatlantic flight on the exact same day as Charles Lindbergh. What a crazy coincidence. Oh, they did that on purpose. Anyway, she goes the opposite way from North America to Europe. And believe it or not even her first transatlantic flight. Turns out she actually did another one in 1928, becoming the first woman to cross the Atlantic in an airplane. Period. Well, at that point, they'd already been doing crossings, and it was kind of just like a race for qualifying statements at that point. The first transatlantic flight to carry mail. The first transatlantic flight from South America. The first transatlantic flight with a woman. Other guys were doing the flying during that flight, though. She kind of just sat in the back and didn't touch anything. She was more like check luggage than an active participant. Kind of like that Katy Perry spaceship thing. No, that's not me being a dick. Those are actually her words. Stutz did all the flying. He had to. I was just baggage, like a sack of potatoes. Maybe someday I'll try it alone. And then she did. 1932. First solo transatlantic flight of a woman. Which is pretty fucking hardcore for an era when they didn't even like them to wear pants. Also, and I didn't really know where else to slot this in, so this is Lindbergh, and he flew over here. This is Amelia Earhart, and she flew over there. And again, we know Lindbergh had a bunch of secret families that he had to visit in secret. Then we swapped the hats and... I mean, I'm not into conspiracy theories, unless that would get more views or something. Are you guys into conspiracy theories? No, but she was in seriousness at the time nicknamed Lady Lindy due to a similar physical appearance and having all the same hobbies. Not the race war stuff. Not that one. In 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator famously disappeared while she attempted to be the first woman to circumnavigate the world via airplane. Much like the fabled Icarus, flying too close to the sun, and then presumably far, far too close to the ground. Alright, so fun and extremely irrelevant, it's both of those. Extremely irreverent and irrelevant piece of information. So Charles Lindbergh later died of cancer and was buried in Hawaii. Amelia Earhart, after completing a strong 80 to 90% of her world tour, is believed to have crashed somewhere around here. So, all in all, their bodies aren't even that far apart. May 20th, 1902, Cuba gains independence from the United States. I didn't even know we used to own Cuba. Jesus, our school system is not good. I know, it turns out we only had it for like 4 years. We took it off Spain in 1898 during the Spanish-American War. Wait, we had a war with Spain? Oh my god, I'm so fucking dumb. Man, this is taking way longer than I was expecting it to. May 20th, 1891. Thomas Edison first displays the kinetescope, which was mostly invented by another guy, William Kennedy Laurie Dixon. Classic Edison. The kinetescope was a machine that ran loops of film across a little peephole that someone could look into and watch. Kind of like the world's most inconvenient single-occupancy movie theater. On the patent, he claimed that it will do for the eye what the phonograph does for the ear. Either way, the contributions that machine had to motion pictures, and therefore porn, was unimaginable. Also, 3 months in, we got our first recorded instance of film censorship of the Spanish dancer Carmencita. Because apparently a video of a fully clothed woman dancing was making people too horny. Oh, think I saw an ankle there. Harlot! I don't even, like, what's the resolution here? Like, videos now, they're what, 1080p, so this is what, 7? This is like 7p? Anyway, the film in question, the horny one, was replaced by boxing cats. Oh, look at them go. They're doing blood sport. They're doing little blood sport. Just like people. And boxing cats, I would like to point out, is 2 words for vagina. May 20th, 1883. The Krakatoa eruption began, leading to the biggest boom boom in human history. 200 megatons. So all the Bikini Atoll testing combined, about 20 to 30 bombs total, adds up to about 70 megatons. This one volcano did 200, which just goes to show you can't out-nuke God. Starting on May 20th, the island of Krakatoa continued to explode until August 27th, when it let out a real banger. An explosion so loud they heard it in parts of Australia. Not even the close parts of Australia. 5,000 kilometers away. And for some closer people, it just completely ruptured their eardrums. Just straight up, do not pass go, you're deaf now. The explosion triggered tsunamis 46 meters high. And people forget about this a lot, but when someone says wave height, they don't mean it's that tall. Well, they do. But the thing is, water doesn't move like this. Water moves like this. So if you're in the ocean and you there's a 4-foot wave, it's not 4 feet to you. It is 8 feet. So the wave, right before it murdered whoever saw it, didn't look 46 meters high. It looked 92 meters high. That's some Old Testament daddy's home shit. Now I know all these numbers aren't like a 1-to-1 ratio, but they get you in the ballpark of understanding just how fucking wild this was. And it's a volcano, so if you're within like 80 kilometers of it, you just plain old got incinerated. I don't make the rules. The sky was darkened worldwide, and everyone got to experience a surprise winter. Also, sulfuric acid rain. No idea what that was doing there. Killed 36,000 people. And this is extra horrifying. You guys remember those science experiments where you find out pumice? Pumice, the thing that famously comes out of volcanoes when they erupt. Pumice is lighter than water, therefore floats on the top of it. And remember how I mentioned those incinerations? Now, a lot of them didn't just get Thanos snapped into ash. A lot of them just regular died in like towns and stuff, and then the pumice kind of engulfed their bodies. People and animals. And then the waves came, cooled the pumice, and washed it out to sea. And again, it's pumice, so they don't sink. These fucked up Cronenberg masses of stone and flesh. They just float around the Indian Ocean for years. Just like little bits of hell that leaked out. I don't even have a joke for that. It's just so massively, astoundingly fucked up. Like, the closest analog I can think of to the melty bone rafts is the tales of the Black Freighter from The Watchmen. But I think this might be more fucked up than that. Like, in the world created by Alan Moore, just this hyper-violent, dystopian product of cynical nihilism. Inside that, he created the Black Freighter comic book. And in a world where all the bad things are cranked to 11, this is a caricature of that world where all those bad things are yet again cranked to another 11. Because that's what a caricature is. And I'm not sure that's as horrible as this thing that actually happened. Apparently, a lot of them just kept washing up on the coast of Africa, the melty bone rafts. And I can assume like the first time that happened to someone and they saw it, they just like freaked the fuck out. But due to like ocean tides and like currents and Gulf streams, maybe not Gulf streams, I don't know where those are, but like it's a repeatable thing to some extent. So There's gotta be like some section of Africa, like some dude's house where it like, they kept washing up. And after like the novelty of the horror wears off, it just becomes like a massive inconvenience. Ah, god damn it, the creepy people rocks are back again. Oh, Mom White, get the stick! May 20th, 1873, Levi Strauss files a patent for creepy nipple pants. Pants with teeny tiny little metal nipples. What a fucking freak. And okay, this has gone on way too long. We're gonna do some happy birthdays, some happy death days, and I'm gonna go lay down. May 20th, 1799, happy birthday to French novelist and playwright Balzac. I've never read any of his stuff, but I love saying his name. May 20th, 1818, William Fargo, founder of Wells Fargo, is born. You know what, not actually happy birthday to him. I'm just telling you he was born today. Fuck Wells Fargo and fuck overdraft fees. Emil Berliner, born May 20th, 1851. Inventor of the gramophone record and, by translation, sick record collections around the world. Gardner Fox is born May 20th, 1911. He's an American comic book writer for DC Comics. He invented Barbara Gordon, The Flash, The Hawk People, Dr. Fate, and Sexy Dr. Fate. He also invented, and this is a big one, the fucking multiverse, and is therefore responsible for some of the best and mediumist movies I've ever seen. May 20th, 1946, the lady siren herself, Cher, is born. Ooh, May 20th, 1968, one of my all-time personal man crushes, my wife will back me up on this, Timothy Oliphant is born. Mr. Justified, Mr. Hitman, and my personal favorite, Joel from the Santa Clarita Diet. Seasons 1 and 2 are incredible, and it was really nice for the studio to give us season 3 and make it terrible, so that way we didn't feel sad when they canceled it. Closure. Speaking of closure, happy death day to Christopher Columbus. Died May 20th, 1506. Good. And stay dead, you Italian fuck. That's not a dig against Italians, it's just a dig against people who suck and happen to be Italian and also happen to be dead. You too, Mussolini, you Italian fuck. He didn't actually die today, I just couldn't think of any other people that fit that criteria. Oh damn, May 20th, 2011. Macho Man Randy Savage passes away. He died? I mean, I guess it makes sense considering everything. But like, I was under the impression that nothing could kill that man. Oh, massive heart attack while driving his Jeep and then crashing into a tree. Well, it feels on brand at least. And last up, May 20th, 2012. The inventor of the remote control, Eugene Pauly, passes away. Rest in peace, King. Okay. That, I feel like we kind of went off the rails a little too much today. But hey, I've been Ben. You've been great. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more of this, throw me a little like and subscribe in the bottom there. Good night and God bless. Arno Penzias and Penzias? What a fucking complicated name. Two dudes with an oversized ear horn. Arno Penzias. Motherfucker!